What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the last video you guys seen, if you haven't seen it, go back, it'll be up in this corner, and watch the last video. Today we're gonna go through and try and figure out how we're gonna get the wastegate dump tube to work. I ordered a flange because this is a precision 66mm wastegate, and the manifold has a flange for a tile 60. So I have to make like an adapter, probably like this big, with 66mm flange on this side and a 60mm flange on this side, so that the wastegate will adapt to the manifold. But I ordered a flange and they sent me the wrong one. So for now, we just have the wastegate ratchet strapped to the manifold where it's gonna sit. I have a whole bunch of pie cuts that I made at work. I just bought some 2.5-inch stainless steel tubing, and I cut it all up. So we're gonna go under here, and you can see that the wastegate goes straight down into the traction bar. We'll add some pie cuts right here to make it go down and around the traction bar like this, so it'll just come down, back a little bit, and then straight down again. So I'm just gonna start stacking those things up and switching them around until I get it the way I need it. And we might take a ride to my friend Dylan's house, who helped me put the motor in the car, if you guys have seen that video. But he's got a welder and stuff at his house, so he's gonna weld it up for me once I get it all set up. Alright, and now we have the entire thing, how I have to weld it together. So it's just got to come down like this around the traction bar and point back straight down. So that's basically how the wastegate dump's going to go. I got to get it all welded together, and I was going to weld it myself, but the welder I have at work, I don't know if I just can't figure it out or get it to get set up right, but like I welded my downpipe. I had to make an adapter to go from 3-inch to the 3.5-inch. Like, it just doesn't come out. I couldn't get it to weld really good. So like, it's not gonna break. I back purged it and everything, but it's just not that great of a weld. It doesn't look really pretty. It's penetrated all the way through, like it's solid, but if it ever ends up breaking, then I'm just gonna have my friend Dylan weld that again too. I have the material where I could just cut it right here and then cut it at the V-band and make a new piece and have him weld it up really nice. But I'm not gonna waste my time trying to weld all this together, because it'll be a lot nicer if I let my friend Dylan do it. So I'm gonna go put this in the car, and I'll be right back. We're gonna take off the intercooler bracket that I made because I want to paint it so that it doesn't rust. But I made a bracket that bolts to the stock bumper support right there, and it goes under the headlight to this tab on the intercooler, then a tab to the middle of the radiator support, and another tab to that bung on the intercooler down under the other headlight, back to the bumper support over here. So I gotta take this off so I can paint it so it doesn't get rusty. I'm just gonna paint it high heat black. So what I did was I figured out if I mount the radiator sideways like that, it fits perfectly in between the bottom radiator support and the top radiator support up here. I will just have to cut this off and either build a little flat spot right here, like build this out more and down, and put this up here, or I could just weld a bung to the side of here, and I may just do AN lines. I'm not too sure. My two options are I could either chop the shit out of that radiator and make it work, or buy a Skunk 2 one and see if I can get that to fit in there, because it is a lot thinner. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do yet. Alright, so while I had the intercooler off, I put the dump tube back on so you guys could see kind of how it's gonna go. See how it goes nicely around the traction bar. I could fit my whole hand in there. So, I mean, the motor's not gonna move a lot at all, but if it does, it's not gonna hit the traction bar at all. And it comes out on the bottom, right there, you know, so that's not any lower than the exhaust. It's just barely lower than the traction bar, but I don't think it's gonna hit on anything. And I'm gonna grab the dump tube and head to my friend Dylan's house, and I'll catch up with you guys when we get there. Alright, so we're gonna put this wastegate on. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the intercooler off so I could get to the wastegate from the front. Alright, so I got the wastegate. Alright, so the wastegate is on. So if you guys don't remember, this is a tile 60mm wastegate flange, and I have a precision 66mm wastegate. So I have this little spot right here with the two clamps. There's one flange welded to the other flange, so it's like an adapter from 60 to 66. So now the wastegate comes down, and I have all my nice little pie cuts around the traction bar and straight out through the bottom. And yeah, I put my fitting in my oil pan. All right, so now that the wastegate is on, the wastegate's done, the downpipe is done, the full exhaust is done. All I have to do is buy like new gaskets for like the turbo gasket for there, and I gotta buy a new header gasket also for the manifold. The whole exhaust half of the entire thing is done. The turbos is done, and all I have to do is make the intercooler piping and change my intake manifold, because right now I have this on there just for break-in stuff because I didn't have all the shit for this yet. But then we're gonna put my big manifold on, and I still have to get a throttle body. I don't have a throttle body for this manifold yet. But we might take this apart, and I'm just gonna like sand the inside of it a little bit with a Scotch-Brite and get some of the casting marks off the insides. See, I started a little bit of it right here, and it's hard to tell. Let me get my flashlight. Alright, so see how I just sanded the inside of the runners down a little bit? See, there's still casting marks, like that little round casting mark up there. Once we get a throttle body for that, then we can throw that on. Alright, so the wastegate's all on, and I don't have to touch it again. It's completely done. The only thing I have to do is get fittings for here, because I'm not going to use rubber vacuum line. So these are just on there. Make sure I had room by the downpipe and wasn't going to hit nothing. But it's all clear, so I might try to get some fittings for that. I think today I might go grab some fittings for my fuel rail so that I can start my fuel system. The only few things that we have left to do are the fuel system and the intercooler piping and stuff, which I'm gonna order piping. I think I might order piping tomorrow, because I'm waiting for my brother also to figure out what he needs, because we're just gonna order a bunch of piping all together. it.